hearing of some sort of scaled down participation at some level. We're not sure how much participation by the United States, possibly only for the handover when they take over as hosts or chairperson for the G20 in the coming year. And while we do that, we'll watch these pictures from Waterkloof Air Force Base. I want to bring in SABC News specialist correspondent Sophie Mokoena. Sophie, good to have you with us on The Full View. And you were the first person, in fact, to bring it to the country's attention that ultimately the United States has now had a change of heart about how it will participate in the G20. Do we know how much of the program they'll actually take part in?
It is not clear, as the president pointed out. They are engaging the U.S. A clarity in terms of their participation. But what is confirmed is that they also want to be at the handing over ceremony. You would recall President Ramaphosa when him about the handing over of the presidency of the G20 to the U.S. as the incoming leader of this forum. He pointed out that he is going to hand over to the empty chair. But it looks like there will be someone sitting on that chair. And it's not clear at this moment at which level. Remember, the U.S. can choose an official at the embassy to participate. They do have an attaché who's the most senior person, ambassador, and he can do as direct the State Department or Washington, the president's office. But the fact that you will have a on Sunday if they don't attend Saturday, it means they are there. And it's no surprise, because you would recall President Trump was very firm to say, I'm not going. Secondly, J.D. Vance, VP, is not going. And no U.S. official will be at the G20. Now this is an about 10. Yes, U.S. may want to downplay this moment, but the fact that they realize that the world is moving on. You have 19 countries coming in different levels of delegation, because you don't have to send a president all the time. For example, China is sending Prime Minister Li. China will be there. The Chinese flag will be there. Russia is not coming because of Putin's challenges, but someone senior from Russia will be there. Even Argentina, the president is not coming, but the foreign affairs minister has been given delegation authority, and he will lead the delegation. Therefore, and then you have the EU. We saw the EU in full force. They support the theme. The AU has no choice, because it's about Africa hosting this at the president level or leaders level, because we once hosted the G20 Summit at the ministerial level after this forum was launched, and later, of course, it was elevated to the heads of state and government. And therefore, yes, I think people will argue about the content of the letter here and there, but the reality is someone will be there, and the flag of the U.S. on the table will be there, and they will have to put a big flag on Sunday.
And ultimately, do we have a sense yet of what has prompted this change of heart from Washington?
If you understand geopolitics, it can be a trap. It can be accepting that the world is moving on. A trap in a sense that they would want to make a statement when they receive this. As you know that in Brazil, after President Lula handed over to President Ramaphosa made the remarks. And they know those remarks might be news all over the world. Two, maybe they have realized that all their friends, the developed North countries, are coming. And they are taking this engagement, they're giving it a attention it deserves. And therefore, almost like U.S. is being isolated, the feedback and the backlash is not good. But you know what? Watch Trump. President Trump, he may say something and he might downplay this. However, you will trust when they are at the table, because with America, anything is possible. But I heard that they were processing the accreditation of the U.S. delegation. I don't know at which level.
So let's speak about the confirmed guest list then for the G20 program this week. At a United Nations level, there'll be a lot of interest there as well. What message is the UN bringing, and will it ultimately be still Antonio Guterres, the Secretary General, who delivers it?
The SG has been very consistent at every multilateral fora or conference. Transformation of the financial system. That's your IMF and the World Bank. They are outdated since 1948. They are not yet at addressing the needs of poorer nations and the developing countries. Two, peace and security, looking at Ukraine and the Middle East, Sudan on the continent, the DRC, Cabo Delgado on our doorstep in Mozambique, and therefore the issue of peace and security. And also sustainable goals. You have to emphasize that, because if you don't have peace, if you don't transform the multilateral system, you will never achieve the targets and time frames as it relates to sustainable goals.
And Africa, this is significant. The first time G20 leaders are meeting on the continent, and the continent, as ever, is not short of problems, isn't it, Sophie? Because not least of which, the tariffs imposed by the United States, which affect several African nations, the catastrophe that's unfolding in Sudan as well.
Yes, the trade negotiations have been affected. The WTO has almost lost its influence because of what the United States has done. And therefore, I am sure that the leader of the WTO will be here. And she is going to push that they must continue to use the WTO to negotiate trades and tariffs and all of that. And I think there will be recommendations how you strengthen the WTO, or as we speak about the transformation of the multilateral system, even the WTO, it can't be business as usual. And also the UN Security Council. So I think the issue of tariffs will be on the table in the context of discussing the role of the WTO and how unilateral tariffs have, or directed at individual countries, have affected trading systems.
Good to talk to you, Sophie Mokoena, SABC News specialist correspondent, a part of the team, by the way, who will be bringing you up-to-the-minute coverage of the G20 Leaders Summit on South African soil this coming weekend.